Welcome to the Team Builder Leadership Institute's 20-minute training. This session is making an annual review a powerful success tool, using the annual reviews to build relationships and team cohesion. So let's take a look and see how we do that. So I'm Tony Roberts. I'm the Chief Transformation Officer at TLI. And our objective with this course is to provide the skills and steps required to make annual reviews easy and very valuable. And what I mean by very valuable is they actually help you perform and develop that, or help the performance and development of that employee that you're doing the review on. And so that employee, you get the maximum performance. They do it for their benefit and they do it for ours. So let's see how we do that. Okay, so this is an annual process. And these are the three factors of the process. It's an annual process. It's a corrective environment, meaning that we're focused on correcting behaviors or changing behaviors so we get the results we want. So it's not a disciplinary environment. That's not it at all. The whole point is to adjust behaviors so we get the best results to give us the achievements we want as far as our mission and vision of the organization and our departmental goals. And it's a co-creative process. So when you do an annual review, it should be a conversation. It should be based on fact, and it should be a conversation. So we'll look at that in just a moment. Now, again, it's an annual process, and it requires monthly performance counseling. If you haven't taken the 20-minute training course on performance counseling, you want to do that because you want to learn how to do that right, because these two really go hand in hand. I've seen many times where the annual review, a leader will, something that happened recently, maybe in the last 3 or 4 months, the annual review, the leader will put that on there on the annual review as a reason they're not giving them the maximum pay bump. And of course, the employees get upset, rightfully so. The annual review, first of all, is not punitive, and it's not made to do instances. It's collective over the year. That's why it's the annual review. So you want to learn how to counsel and how to develop and how to guide people. And the annual review is basically, here's what we set out to do this year, and here's what we did. And here's what we did well, we appreciate. And here's opportunities for continued skills enhancement. So that's what a performance counseling helps you learn how to do. And so that annual review becomes really easy, because really, when you sit down with the annual review, the employee already knows if you've done your performance counseling. They already know exactly what they're going to get, what you're going to say, what you're going to talk about. Now, it requires on-the-spot correction. On-the-spot correction, when you're at work, and a lot of times you'll see leaders sort of try to avoid this, but when you're at work and you see somebody doing something that is against what we need to do, our policy standards and operational guidelines, it's against what we need to do to get the result we want, whether it's a behavioral issue or skipping a process or something of that nature. When you see that, the minute you see that, you pull them aside and you ask them, is that how we go about that? And when they say, well, no, we're supposed to do this. Okay, so you know how to go about that, right? The way we have that outlined. And you put them back on the path, and you let them know that if it's a requirement, a standard of operation, something that we have to do, we're going to do it. We're not going to skip it. We're not going to ignore it. If it's a behavior, we're going to talk about that behavior. We're going to get that straight right then, and we're going to get them back on the right track. So on-the-spot correction helps you continuously help an employee to develop and guide them to the path of success. Now, it requires constant feedback. Feedback in the form of your counseling, your on-the-spot correction, telling them you appreciate them when they do a good job, giving them training, and then helping them adjust when they don't do that the right way. In other words, the most effective way. So you give them feedback when you send them to do something, when you delegate. Delegation is also another course we have, and it's really, really important. But feedback on performance is what it's about. So it requires consistent feedback. The employee should know every minute of every day exactly how you as the leader view their performance. And they should also know you view their performance on fact, not emotion, not what you like and dislike, but what the requirements of the position are. Now, your annual review requires the correct environment, meaning that you want a relaxed environment, and you want an environment where you're going to be uninterrupted. There's nothing worse than you and the leader and the employee having a conversation, and then someone knocks on the door and say, hey, so-and-so's on the phone, or you need to do this, you need to. that's disrespectful, it's unprofessional, and it will destroy the momentum you get when you're doing this review. So you want to be in a place where you can be relaxed, but also where you can be uninterrupted. An annual review really shouldn't take more than 15 to 30 minutes max. And so you can always find 15 to 30 minutes, schedule it so you can actually do it well. Because remember, this is part of a development as well, this annual review. You want to use it for that. You want to use it so it actually, you have a better relationship with the employee when they walk out than when they came in, because of the way you handle this with your professionalism, your skills, your knowledge, and by using only facts and not emotions. You're not saying, well, I feel this and I feel that. It really doesn't matter what you feel. The fact is, you have operational standards. Are they meeting them or are they not? If they're not, how? And then let's make a developmental path to correct and get that behavior back where it needs to be to get the result. But the point is, you want to make sure that you have time to have this discussion without interruptions. Interruptions will it will really, really tear apart your process. Keep in mind, as we talk about annual reviews, it's a continuum. It's a process. You talk to them daily, you talk to them weekly, you talk to them monthly, using feedback, using on-the-spot correction, performance counseling, and it's a continuum. And so it builds throughout the year. And again, it lets them know every minute of every day exactly how the leader sees their performance, exactly what things they need to work on, exactly how to work on those things, and the results they are to get. So it's all part of that continuum. So when it comes up to the annual review, really, it's just a recap. So in the co-creative part, what you're doing is you're looking at a positive developmental focus. Now, we already know what we've talked about through the year, what we plan to do, the skills we plan to add, and the direction we plan to take. We also know how many of those things we said we were going to do that we did do, and we did well, and how many of those things we still have areas of opportunity for improvement or skills enhancement. So you want a positive focus on that. We're going to focus on what we can do and what we want to do, not what we didn't do and what we don't want. You always focus on what you want, not what you don't want. What you can do, not what you can't do. If you can't do it, what sense does it make talking about it? It doesn't. Spend your time talking about what you can do and you want to do and how to do it and what results you want to get, and then you don't have to worry about what you don't want. So it's a positive developmental focus when you're doing this annual review. It's also a co-creating development plan. So you're going to co-create this plan with them. In other words, you're going to talk about the things they're doing well and things that really help the organization, things you appreciate. And we're also going to talk about the things that are opportunities for growth and skills improvement. And then we're going to talk about the developmental plan for that. And if you look at the other two courses I mentioned earlier, you'll see how to do that. The performance counseling, creating goals. There's several courses. But you want to create that developmental plan and also develop a list of achievements that they want to achieve. And this is, of course, a list of goals as well. So you're going to develop this list of achievements, this list of goals, the things they've done, the goals they've met, the achievements they've made, the new ones they want for the next year. And then you're going to develop a plan to get there. And of course, so this is where you don't give them a form and say, tell me what your goals are. You don't give them a form and say, tell me what you did last year. That is totally unprofessional, and that is a leader not doing their job. Our job is to help develop them so they can be the best at what they do. And making them do all the work and try to figure it out. The reason most leaders have the position, or they should, is because they are more skilled than the people that they are leading. And if they're not, then they should be. The whole point is that leader should have a better perspective on the overall picture and what each individual needs to become the best they can be at that position. And that is our job to help develop them to get there. So we're going to lead it. We're going to lead this conversation because we've already thought out where they're at, where they need to go, how they can improve. And when I say they can improve, I'm talking about how they can get more skilled to help us get the result we need. So we're going to be leading it with that in mind, but we're going to develop these lists of achievements and goals, what we did last year, what we're going to do next year, our development plan, how we're going to get the next achievements and goals. We're going to create all that together. That is a conversation based on our goals as a leader, and our goals should be based on the organization's goals, getting that more efficiently, and their goals as an individual. They might want to be promoted. So if the individual wants to be promoted, you are sitting down having this conversation. You say, okay, so the requirements of that next position is you got to know how to do this, and you got to know how to do this, and you got to know how to do this. Do you currently possess those skills? Have you shown us that you possess those skills? Well, no. Okay, so then one of the things we have to do is make sure you have those skills and that you can demonstrate the use of those skills effectively, and then you can be considered for that position, correct? And then you talk about how you're going to get that training, you know, what the deadlines are for it. You make a developmental plan. But this, again, is a co-creative conversation. It's not the leader dictating anything, and it's not the leader just saying, tell me what your goals are. That is not co-creating. You know, if you've actually taken the time through the year to do your developmental counseling, to create powerful goals and to create workplace expectations and give it to them, and then do the on-the-spot correction, the feedback, the daily, weekly, monthly conversations, guidance. If you do that, this annual review becomes really powerful and really easy. Because again, if you're doing it throughout the year like you should be, every day, every week, every month, and every month is written, but again, take the course so you can see exactly how to do it properly, because developmental counseling is a process, but also it's a tool to enhance your results if you do it right. But if you've done that, then really all you're doing in this annual review is just a recap of everything you've discussed all throughout the year, and you're both already on the same page with. So it makes it easy to do. You know exactly what they're going to get. One of the things it does is if they haven't performed up to standard and they don't deserve the maximum cost of living bump, you don't have to argue about it, because you simply have your goals right there that they were supposed to meet or they agreed to meet to the developmental plan. When they say, well, I think I should get 7%. Well, you know, we talked about you having this goal and this goal and this goal and learning these skills. Did you do that? Well, no, but well, I understand that you think there's reasons you didn't do it, but did you do it? No. And did you come to me and tell me that you didn't have time? You were having a difficult time finding time to do it? Well, no. Well, you know I would have helped you if that was the case. I would have found time for you. But the bottom line is you didn't show the improvement you said you would. You didn't give that effort. So do you really deserve the maximum raise when I didn't get the maximum effort? So it makes the conversation easy when you've actually done your developmental planning and you do this annual review, because they have nothing to argue with. You're using fact based on the goals of the organization, based on the goals of your department, based on the efforts they've actually put forth. It's all in writing. This is something that we've been talking about throughout the year. So it doesn't get hostile. They don't get upset. I mean, don't get me wrong. They don't like it when you show them with fact why they don't deserve the raise. And it also gives you a position. You know, I do this from time to time. So I go through that and the person doesn't deserve the raise. And then I tell them that and they admit, yeah, you're right, I don't deserve it. And then I'll make a deal with them. I'll tell you what I'll do. If you commit to me, you will give me 100% going forward, and you will meet these goals and achievements that we've laid out in this plan, then I will give you that extra 1.5% or whatever it is. I'll give them something so they feel like they've got something, but also I'm using that as clout. So when on my development plan further down the road, I can say, now, Bob, didn't you tell me if I gave you that extra 1.5% that you would give me 100%? This performance, is that 100%? So in other words, I can then use that to go back and say, okay, get with the program. It gives me more bargaining leverage when I do that for them. So that's something else to think about. But the bottom line is when you do your developmental counseling, so you definitely want to take that course, and when you're doing your annual review, it just makes it so easy and so effective and a very powerful tool. Thanks for using the 20-minute training courses. I suggest you do developmental counseling next. Setting the example and creating powerful goals are great ones too. So do those, learn how to do this, and it'll just make your life so much easier. You will not dread those end of year. It's a little bit of paperwork, but really it's the time and the conversation that most leaders dread. They don't want to have this conversation because most people try to avoid confrontation. Well, if you do this right, you don't have confrontation, so you don't have to avoid it. So learn the information and enjoy the tool. Thank you for using Team Building Leadership Institute.